And welcome back to Lantern Corps video. Today's Lantern Corps video comes to us from Ichiko Kurosaki, who asked the question, what Lantern Corps does Jason Voorhees with that slick back hair and stylish mask belong in? For Jason, to me, it came down to three big ones. Now, right out of the gate, Jason is not a good candidate for life. A, he's pretty much the undead. So yes, he's come back to life, but that really doesn't mean anything. It's near impossible to kill him, sure, but he's also a brutal murderer, so I can't really say that life is the good choice here. I also can't use something like hope. I don't think Jason really carries hope in him whatsoever. He just does what he does. And something like, say, avarice actually doesn't make sense because Jason just does what he does. He's more than content just being left alone, but he will kill you just because you invaded his territory. We'll go over a couple of the other ones he doesn't qualify for, but let's actually now get into one I think he does qualify for. The obvious one out of the gate is the Yellow Lantern Corps. Everyone in all the movies is afraid of, well, okay, not everyone, like Freddy's not really afraid of Jason, but you know what I mean. Pretty much everyone, every normal person is afraid of Jason Voorhees. And for good reason. I mean, the man will kill you. He cannot be put down. He always comes back. So it makes sense that this would be a perfect Lantern Corps for Jason. Moving back to something he doesn't qualify for, I believe it or not, I actually don't think he qualifies for compassion. The reason for this is Jason, for all of his terrible doings, for all of his murdering, for everything he's done, Jason is basically just a kid in a giant body in a murder machine. And just basically acting on the wishes and wills of his mother, more or less, and kind of going out for revenge. He's only out to punish those he feels deserve it, really. And those he feels deserve it. And he doesn't target kids. Really think about that. We have seen a few times where Jason doesn't target kids. Now, there's Tommy Jarvis. You can make that argument, if I'm not mistaken. The kid from the fourth one. However, he never really targeted him that much. He was going after his sister and her friends more than anything else. He was just there. And it is ultimately him who tricked Jason by, looking like the deformed kid version of Jason through makeup effects. But then there's the scene, oh God, was it the 6th or 7th one? See, Jason X is the 10th Jason. Jason Goes to Hell is the 9th. Jason Takes Manhattan is 8. So it was either the 6th or the 7th, and I can't remember, where he is actually in the bunks of the kids, and he looks down at this kid in his bed, and he just leaves the kids alone. Jason, I think, has compassion for a few exceptions when it comes to children and things along those lines, because that's what he identifies as. He identifies as a kid. So I don't think he could be a Lantern of Compassion, although I could see an argument still being made there. Also, don't think he's a Green Lantern. He doesn't really have to overcome great fear very much. I mean, the Freddy versus Jason scenario where he's afraid of water, that really doesn't make sense, but that's what they said, and that's what happened in that movie. Other than that, I don't think he's really afraid of anything, but he also doesn't really have any strong willpower, per se. He just keeps going because his body keeps going. So there's that. Next one up, though, is Black. This one's obvious. He has died multiple times to come back. He is the Walking Dead in most versions. So it would make sense that a Black Lantern ring would be able to attach to him. Last on the list, and ones that I don't think he qualifies for, is the Red Lantern Corps. Now, you might be wondering, well, that makes no sense. Jason's murderous, rage, intense. Is Jason really rage incarnate? Because I would argue everything he's doing isn't out of rage. It's out of love. Out of love for his... Now, Pamela Voorhees, that is either a red or a Sapphire Lantern right there, because it's out of revenge for the death of her son, which she loved, and she's got psychosis at that point. Jason, and he has an altar at Camp Crystal Lake, and wherever he spends most of his time, with his mom's severed head there. So I would argue that, yeah, I'm sure he's angry, but I think the anger comes out of love. So I think what he's doing is actually out of love more than anger. Now, thinking in hindsight, though, it's very likely he does carry like anger and rage at him. I think he just does what he does because I think he feels he wants to and needs to. So I can still see the rage there. If you want to put rage in there, I won't argue it. I just don't think it's the strongest core. So your options here then would be rage, which isn't here obviously, sapphire, love, black death, and yellow fear. As I said, I'm only adding rage on right now, but I would say love is probably the least likely one, only because the amount of people he's scaring and the amount of times he's come back from the dead kind of outweigh that. Then now that brings us just to fear and death. And I'm actually going to say it's fear over death. The reason for that is not every version of Jason is an undead being or has died until the end of the movie. Reboot Jason was the first example of this. Even Jason X, they never really say in what part of the continuity Jason X is in. We know it's got to be at least canon with like the first 2 or 3 films. It can't be canon with Jason that goes to hell because Jason's basically a demon at that point. But it's got to be canon with at least some of the other Jason movies, but not others. But point being is that with Jason X, with the rebooted Jason, and with the first 3 Friday the 13th, Jason is not the undead nor has died at the end of the series or end of the movie. So I think when you balance that out, but he's always, and he's just hinted at in the first one, but he's always scary, a killer, all that, so he's always inspiring fear. Therefore, I think yellow is the stronger candidate over black. Black is the close second, obviously, but I think ultimately, I would go yellow over black. So my choice is the Fear Lantern Corps, followed by the black, then with Sapphire and Red bringing up the rear. Ultimately, though, that is just my opinion. What do you think? Do you think those line up with them, or do you think one of the other Lantern Corps is actually a better candidate? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you folks for the next one. Later.